Hello, I'm Jennifer Dennehy. Welcome to the Creative Hoop Dance Experience, Part 1, Hoop Technique Fundamentals. This section explores off-body hoop dance technique fundamentals, which are intended for use by new hoop dancers and dance educators. Techniques will be presented in a sequence that is specifically designed to be developmentally appropriate for instruction with children, but may be used for adults as well. The first 7 techniques are appropriate for children ages 6 through 8, and all techniques are appropriate for ages 8 through adults. Throughout these technique lessons, we will incorporate some suggested footwork so you can begin coordinating your body movement with your newly developing hoop skills. By the end of this video, and with regular practice, you will have the skill set to perform all of the techniques and have a solid base to begin finding your own hoop dance style. Let's begin. Revolving door is composed of 4 parts. First part is swing across your body, put in your opposite foot, head, then other foot. The jacket begins in one hand, you put it on your shoulder, the other shoulder, and then take it off. It's like you're wearing a backpack. So you go across your body, put it on one shoulder, reach through it, drop the first arm, sweep across, and grab it in the opposite hand. Now adding a turn. When you put it on, make sure you're wearing it, cross your foot, drop that arm as you turn, and extend. Weaving is like drawing a figure 8. You want to hold it loosely in your hand and push it back and forth across your body so it's visiting each side of your body. When you're doing the weaving jump through, you want the hoop to stop at the opposite side of your body. And when it does, you're going to take both feet through the hoop, keeping the hoop vertical as much as possible, and then lifting it up so your whole body goes through it. When doing off-body breaks, you want to make sure you have a grip that is thumb to thumb. The hoop stays close to the body and it comes from one side and visits the other side, bouncing off your back, passing from hand to hand. When we add our feet, we go step, touch, step, touch, step, touch, step, touch from side to side. When hand passing, the hand position is the most important. You start thumb to thumb, and when you carry it around you, your thumbs point out. You want to think of your hoop like a pizza, keeping the pizza toppings to the sky as you're passing it around your body. Pass it thumbs out, thumbs point in, thumbs point out, thumbs point in. And when you start to get comfortable with that hand position, you can speed it up and then add feet, turning with the hoop and breaking. Turn, 2, 3, break. When sustained spinning, you want to make sure your grip is an inside grip. You lift it up above your head, and the magic happens because you're trying to hold the hoop as flat as possible, parallel to the ground as you spin it down and then back up. Your spin is very quick, and the down and up is the slow part. That's what makes it magical. Ghosting begins with an outside grip. That means the palms of your hands are holding the outside of the hoop. This is an illusionary hoop technique where one hand is doing all of the work. The other hand is actually loose and completely open. It's almost like you're just gently petting an animal like a cat. And what we do is we hold it with the one hand, we loosen that other hand, They stop at 3 and 9 o'clock, and then you extend it all the way above you, and they meet again at 6 o'clock. On the way back down, you open your hands again. They go across from each other at 3 and 9, and then they meet again at 12. Z-spin begins with an outside grip, and you're going to take your hoop leading with the thumb up, flipping one half rotation, then another, and then the thumb leads down and through the middle. Once you're comfortable with that, you start speeding it up, and you can see where it's rotating on its axis. Vertical hand passing begins with a thumbs out position at the bottom. The thumb leads the way out, and then you go up, thumb to thumb, out to the side, bringing it back down, thumbs pointing out. Once you get comfortable passing vertically, you can add galloping feet, and it goes where you reach out to the side and you pass down, up, down and out, down, up, down and out. When hand hooping, you want to start with an inside grip, and when you push your hoop, the hoop is going around your hand with the thumb on the back side and the fingers reaching through it. The motion is like a tiny handshake. It's linear. It's up and down, up and down, up and down. You can try both directions and in both hands. Some of the common mistakes are drawing big circles with your arm. You want to make sure you keep that little tiny handshake right in front of you. When hand hooping on the horizontal plane, you begin with your arm extended down low with the hoop sitting on the palm of your hand and your fingers pointed forward. You slowly begin to turn in whichever direction feels good to you, and as you spin, you point your fingers up to the sky. You want to make sure your arm slowly extends straight above your head, and when it reaches above your head, you stop spinning and you put that back and forth motion just like the vertical hand hooping, tiny handshake to the sky above you to keep it going. Make sure your thumb is below the hoop so in case it starts to fall, you can grab it. Our sequence begins with ghosting, connecting it into a Z-spin, extend it out and flip it to go into our revolving door, connecting to the jacket with our turn and reach. Now galloping down, up, down, out, vertical hand passing. Do it one more time, down, up, down, out into our weave, which will connect into vertical hand hooping, back to the weave into the jump through, where we go into our hand passing and breaks with our turns. Then step, dig with our hand breaks, lifting it above so we can go into our sustained spinning, pulling that hoop down. Begin with 2 people and 1 hoop. Each person stands looking at the other person. Each person's hands have an inside grip. When we're doing partnering barrel rolls, we push the hoop up to the side. We stop halfway facing back to back away from each other with our arms lifted above our head and pulling it back down to look at each other. You want to make sure you're turning in opposite directions so that your shoulders are first touching, then your backs, then the other shoulder, then your front to front. When rolling your hoop with a partner, you want to begin in your right hand with the grip holding the hoop palm down. The hoop is touching the floor and you have a loose grip. Your fingers are pointing to your partner. You pull the hoop back and you point it to release it to your partner. We're rolling 1, 2, 3, pull, then roll. 1, 2, 3, pull, then roll. So if you have it in your right hand, you roll it to your friend's left hand. Then it will be in their left hand and they'll roll it back to your right hand. When tossing your hoop, it's the same idea as the rolls. Where you point is where it goes. If you're throwing it to a partner, think of it going up and over like a rainbow, like an arc. So you pull it back and you toss it. You can practice this with just one hoop and two people, back and forth, until you get comfortable. Then you can both have a hoop and toss it at the same time. Now we're combining our tosses with our rolls, where you toss with one hand and roll with the other, back and forth. This can take a lot of practice to get right. When barrel rolling, you want to start with your face inside the hoop like a picture frame, holding your hands with an inside grip. That means palm touching the inside circle of the hoop. When barrel rolling, you want to make sure it's touching your belly, then your hip, then your back, then your other hip as you turn. I like to add feet, so I point my foot to the side, I draw a half circle around as I push my hoop up and over onto my back, pulling it down to my hip and stepping out as I face front. I like to think of the hoop staying between me and whatever I'm looking at. When doing smears, you start with your face looking through the hoop like a picture frame with an inside grip. That means the palms of your hands are touching the inside circle of the hoop. The hoop goes around the body, touching one hip, then your back, then the other hip, and back to your belly. So we go from hip to back to hip to belly, rolling it around. When it's on your back, your arms are reaching high above your head. When it's at your belly, your hands are low at your waist. When doing an isolation, you start with an inside grip with your face looking through the hoop like a picture frame. With one hand, you push the hoop across your body and up to 11 or 1 o'clock, depending on which hand you're using. And then you pass into the other hand with an inside grip at 12 o'clock, pulling it across and down, keeping your face inside of it. The magic happens because the hoop looks like it's floating in front of you. I like to think of the hoop as it was sitting on a desk in front of you. So you're pushing it up and across, keeping it in the one place it's in, passing the hoop, pulling it down, keeping your face right in the middle. When doing a single-handed isolation, you start with your hand at 6 o'clock with an inside grip, pushing the hoop across your body, pushing your hoop up to 1 or 2 o'clock, and then opening your hand, letting the hoop sit on the back of the hand, grabbing the hoop again with your thumb pointed down, pulling it down to lead the way. Again, you push it across your body, lifting it up, making sure your hand is extended over your head, opening it gently, slowly with no momentum, grabbing the hoop again, pulling it down. You want to think of this as floating in one place. This technique takes lots of practice. Beginning in a bow and arrow stance, we take our hoop and push it across our body, using our body like a hinge, letting it go behind us, over our head, and then pulling it down towards the ground where it's touching the left side of your body. Again, we go with the bow and arrow stance, pulling it down, and then as you lift it up, you bring your hand to your heart, thumb up, lift it over your head, and the most important part is taking your thumb and pointing it towards the audience, pulling it across your head, lifting it up, and then letting your fingers scoop in to go into horizontal hand hooping. We begin in the bow and arrow position. This time, instead of hinging it on our body, we're going to extend it out to the side, wrapping it behind you to touch your neck. You want to make sure it's touching the side of your neck as you point your thumb down. Now, as we point our thumb down, we flick our hand backwards to let the hoop spiral down our body, catching it in the same hand that released it at the top. Now we're going to take our hoop up and do an escalator. This is what it looks like. We go up and grab it. Now we're going to break it down piece by piece. So holding your hoop down in your hand off to the side, you want to make sure that it's tight against the opposite leg. So if it's in your right hand, it's pulled tight against that left leg across the front of your right ankle and touching the floor. You're going to extend your free arm up, pushing that hoop diagonally across your body, and you want to notice where it hits your head or your arm. It's really important that you identify a spot that you do it a number of times, because that's going to be the spot that you're going to catch your hoop. After you've identified that spot, you can move your hand to that position, to that place, and then push it up again with the same power, pulled tight, and then you'll push it up and it will go right into your hand. After you catch it with your hand, you're going to push it above your head into hand hooping horizontally. Helicopter begins holding your hoop horizontally in front of you with your thumbs out, using one hand to flip and rotate the hoop to behind you, grabbing it with the other hand, continuing to rotate it in the same direction as you pass it and bring it to the front again. Thumbs out as you pass in front. So you pass it around your body and bring it to the front, thumbs out. We begin without the hoop, holding your arm out to the side, reaching diagonally across your body to the opposite foot, taking your hand back to where it came from, looking at the hand. Now your foot is drawing a circle and it reaches out diagonally in front of you and goes and visits the back corner across from where it came from. I go around my body and touch my hand with my foot. Now putting it all together, I take my arm across my body, touch my foot, carry it around, and then my hand touches my foot in the back. Now we pick up our hoop. Holding the hoop in your hand, go across your body, place it on the foot, flex the foot, carry that foot all the way around to the back, grabbing the hoop off your foot, and then going into hand passing. Lasso is another hoop technique I like to begin without the hoop. We start with our hand up to the sky, palm to the sky, reaching forward, scooping in towards the belly button, going underneath the armpit, pointing in front of you, palm up, reaching across your body, up above your head, and then back to where you came from. Now let's grab the hoop, palm up, thumb back, bringing it in front of you, scooping in towards your belly, rotating, lifting, and pulling it out. The idea is to keep it as flat as possible. Think of it like a pizza. You don't want to flip the toppings onto the floor. So we're scooping it in front of us and lifting it up and out. Now we're going to do the lasso, pushing it down, up, across, and break. We begin with our hoop horizontal, reaching in front of us, thumbs pointed towards each other. Jump rope through your hoop, bring it up and over your head, touching the ground. When we toss it, we want to think of tossing it horizontally, reaching our hands forward towards the front of the hoop, grabbing with an inside grip, then pulling that hoop down around us. The kick up is another hoop technique that begins without the hoop. You kick your leg up, you dive forward, and make sure you step that foot forward. Now we're going to add in the hoop. You put it on your foot, flex the foot, kick it up, dive through it, step forward, and let the hoop fall to the ground around the back foot. Now instead of letting the hoop fall to the floor, we're going to grab it with an inside grip down towards the bottom. Think of reaching to 5 or 7 o'clock, stepping that foot forward and through it still, and letting your hoop go into one hand as you step the second foot through. Hand rolls are our first introduction to a contact body roll. We begin with an outside grip with the palm of the hand touching the outside of the circle. We push the hoop up and over the back of our hand, sending it from thumb to pinky, then grabbing it. You want to make sure you keep your hand on the outside of the hoop the whole time. You can send this from thumb to pinky or from pinky to thumb. When balancing, hold your arm in front of you, palm up, open hand. Place your hoop on that open hand. You want to make sure your hand is under the middle of the hoop. You're not grabbing it at all. It's sitting on the middle finger and your hand. You want to pretend there's a string from your hand through the middle of the hoop to the top. Your eyes are going to look at that top point of the hoop. Every time it moves, it tells you what you need to do with your hand. If it moves a little to the left, you move your hand a little to the left. It moves a little to the right, you move your hand a little to the right. Every time it falls, it tells you what you did wrong, so pay attention to what's happening with the hoop so that when you try it again, you can correct and make an adjustment. When you practice a lot, your balance will get longer, and the longer it gets, then you can get fancy and push it up to a fingertip, always making sure your hand or your finger is right under the middle of the hoop. When teaching wedgies, I like to begin without the hoop, where we start with this fancy little dance move with one leg stretch, one leg bent, thighs really close. Then we push across the body and they switch. So we're pushing back and forth, keeping our thighs nice and close together. Now let's add the hoop. We're going to take our leg, extend it on the outside, wrapping it in, stepping down. The stretched leg is the powering leg. It's the one that's pushing the hoop. When you push the hoop, you want to make sure that you're pushing it and it's bouncing off your back. Once you feel it on your back, you can then switch the leg that's powering it. So now we're going to take it all the way up. When we push it up, at the point at which it would touch our back, you're going to take the powering leg, the stretched leg, and you're going to flick the foot diagonally behind you and open the knees just a little bit. So you push it, you flick the foot, and you open your knees so that the hoop can come up and around your body. If you're wrapping in your right foot, you're going to catch it at about your shoulder with your left hand, grabbing it and pushing it up to hand hooping. If you're wrapping with your left foot, you'll push it up and grab it with your right hand at your right shoulder and then push it up to hand hooping. We begin with our de-escalator, escalator, which we connect into horizontal hand hooping. We grab the hoop, jump rope through it, touch, toss, catch, right into sustained spinning all the way down. We're going to take the hoop, step out the back side, and go right into some helicopter movement around the body into our hand to foot pass, grabbing it, bringing it in front, into a hand roll, which we will connect into our wedgies. We wrap that foot in, pushing it with our stretched leg up into horizontal hand hooping again. We're going to bring the hoop down, rotate it so that we can push it into our balance. And when you have a really good balance, you can push it up onto that fingertip. That's the end of our sequence. With a lot of practice, you will be able to do this sequence smoothly and quickly, adding all of these techniques that you have learned from the video together, which you can add into dances of your own, for performances for your community, or just for the fun of it. Thank you for beginning your hoop dance journey with us here at Kinetic Creativity, and for supporting a product that provides 50% of the proceeds from sales to continued dance education programming for inner city youth at St. Martin's Early Learning Center here in Erie, Pennsylvania. If you enjoyed this video, please check out the Creative Hoop Dance Experience Part 2, Hoop Dance Explorations, and Part 3, Hoop Dance Choreography. Until next time, keep spinning.